here we are on Conversations from Drumroll this week with Garth Clark.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show. You're one of the very first people who ever performed at Drumroll, if not the first.
Yeah.
Maybe second night, yeah.
Second night, soft opening.
Yep, started off strong. So you perform with the name Whitewoods.
Yeah.
So how did that... Tell us a little bit about your musical background and how you've developed into the type of fellow who's opening up restaurants.
So I grew up in the surrounding Finger Lakes area, and my parents were always in music. My dad would play guitar, was singing. They loved Bob Dylan, they loved the Dead, they loved the band. So it was definitely always part of my background. And then from a pretty young age, I started writing songs. Probably like 7, 8, I would start writing them down in my head, and it was something I really always did. And later, started playing guitar.
Okay.
Maybe 13 or 14. I started out as a bass guitar player. My dad, we had a lot of instruments. He went to Berklee School of Music, and heard a Bob Marley song. I was like, Dad, what's that noise? It was the bass. He was like, oh, I have one right here. So that was the first. And maybe I was 13 or 14. But then I didn't know that you could sing and play bass. And I had these songs, so I picked up bar chords and stuff. And then maybe started writing down songs 14 or 15, 9th grade maybe.
Yeah.
And for there I was definitely hooked, but it's definitely just been something I've always done. So Whitewoods came about. I had always played with friends in high school and connected with people, but I would go to shows and watch everything interact, and I knew it made sense, but it didn't. I would see the drum and the guitar and the bass, and it kind of made sense, but actually implementing it, it's a little weird. It seems it's so straightforward, but there's some stuff where it's it's a little different. So went to school at SUNY Plattsburgh for a little bit, and lived with all these guys for a whole year, and then year 2, and we all played, but different combinations and never together. And year 2, it just finally happened.
Yeah.
So maybe I was 19 or 20 at that point, and that was when Whitewoods came about, and the band came about, and playing. So I kind of got a late start because a lot of people are doing it. I mean, it's all whenever, but starting to not play out when you're 20 is a lot of people I know are doing it just their whole lives, or So I wrote a song called Whitewoods, had a band in Plattsburgh called CBP, and booked this tour. Everything was going great. Decided I wasn't feeling it, so I fired everyone. The tour was out here on home from break. Yeah. Had the song Whitewoods. I know it was pretty. I fired him. And then Whitewoods was kind of born from that song. Needed a new band name. Had all this stuff going, and just had to keep. So ever since then, it's kind of been just a name to release music under. With there was definitely an original lineup, but now it's just been yeah. So it's a nice, it's an avenue to release music under for sure. But that's the beginning of it in a nutshell. So definitely something that came a little later for me.
Cool. So yeah, I know when I was doing the research for this, I was like, what is Whitewoods?
Yeah.
Who is it? Is it just him?
Yeah.
Is it his solo act? And then I saw Matt O'Brien, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
No, there's a whole gang.
So now we have Matt on drums, Sean Rotolo on bass, Brian Elam on guitar, he's a young gun that I've known from Naples for a while. And it's nice to I've known him. I knew him pre going to school and playing music too, as a kid.
Yeah.
So to have him come in the fold is really nice. But just a vehicle to keep things rolling, really.
Wow, that's really cool. So we chatted briefly before the interview about your approach to marketing your music. And I'm interested in chatting about that briefly before we get into the actual meat of it.
Yeah.
Because you look up Garth Clark and Whitewoods and find very little. Mm-hmm. However, you're prolific and you perform out regularly. Mm-hmm. So how have you managed to make it work? Because everyone says social media is the way these days.
Yeah, and I think that's a great question. I'm glad that we circled back to it. Everyone out there who's interested in it should look up Bonnie Prince Billy. I think he does have an Instagram now. But so Johnny Cash covered one of his tunes when he was like 25, which like it doesn't get like, you know, it could be like, I think like Jackson or the Beatles or like whatever. I think anyone would say that Johnny Cash covers one of your tunes. I don't know if there's anything better than that. And this guy does. He runs like a record label. He's off the charts, but he's just killing it. He does all these sweet artist residencies, and he might have like 400 followers on the gram or something. It's like you wouldn't ever think that he's just like totally crushing it, making a living. And it's doing it currently. Like he's like his name's on like big festivals that are coming out with like relevant, you know. So there's just social media is great, and I'm definitely on it. But like I was telling you before, I think like doing what feels good to you. Like people will find good music, and if it's something that really, like people have money, they say that money is a byproduct of like doing what they love, and like no one wants to hear it. But everyone I know who's like, or everyone's like, I mean it. Like even like money people, they were like, I was doing something I was passionate about. Like success is a byproduct. I fully believe that, and I don't think we need to get caught up in the algorithms and stuff because I know it seems crazy, but I see it work for other people. Lots of people, besides Body Principality, it's a whole world out there.
That's really cool. I really like that because some of the groups that I've chatted with, there's so much, and it's very impressive, and it just looks exhausting and expensive. Yeah,
and if it's something that you like to do, like a lot of people do have really great creative videos that I'm like, that's really fun. So if you like to do it, sure, but like for the people where they're struggling with it, and you know,
it's not fun for everybody.
So I mean, I don't know, and I know that there's a lot of established older acts too, or their online presence wouldn't really translate to how big and like well known, you know, and maybe, and they kind of made it before that age, so maybe they kind of got grandfathered in. But there's still there's many ways to go about it, I think, and I think just doing what you care about and focusing on putting out actual art versus like internet content, I think is like, we'll never go out of style. And call me crazy, but you know, I'm sticking to it.
I think you're on the right track. I thought that was super cool because I wasn't able to prepare. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even figure out anything about this guy, but it was great. I'm happy to have you on. So moving on to your music beyond your online presence or lack thereof. So you're a songwriter. Sounds like you've been writing for quite a while. Mm-hmm. So what's that like? What's the life of a songwriter like? Because it seems like that's really your main focus and your main passion in the music experience.
100%. I definitely I'm definitely like am a songwriter. It's like what I do. I wouldn't even call myself a musician. Actually just a songwriter, and just for me personally, it's something I've always remembered doing. It's a way for me to process how I feel, and it just comes out. Like I know, and a lot of people would say like a lot of songs I think really do write themselves. A lot of the ones that we listen to and that really hit with the public in general, like, you know, a lot of the hits are just kind of like they just came out. And it's just something that I know other people, and people find it in different ways. I know a lot of great musicians that maybe start as guitar players, and there's different ways to craft it, but it's definitely, I would say most people I know that are doing it, it's something that, you know, they can definitely, you know, harness it a little bit, but it's kind of like just own beast that kind of comes and goes when it wants. I really do think. And I know there's people sitting down in studios, you can definitely crush out a tune for this and that, which is totally cool, but the people that I know that I really resonate with, it's just kind of something that's like, you just have no choice. It's just something you're kind of doing.
How many songs do you think you've gotten out in these years you've been doing it?
I've been like clockwork. I've been writing like probably only like 2 or 3 like every year for the last like 15 years. So like not that, I mean, there's got
That's a lot more songs than I've written.
Probably like 2 or 3 I'm happy with. It seems like maybe a handful, maybe 3 to 4 sometimes. That maybe I'm really happy with. So it's just a constant process. Like I'll think about a line for like 6 months to like a year and a half, like while I'm running or like, and just like kind of in my head. And like maybe sometimes I'll get up to the nerve to like sound check it with the band, just kind of throw it at them. But not too many, you know. I've got to write some more. Like I know I know like Dylan's got like in his book he's got like 500 or something like.
Yeah.
Which I mean I know that's Dylan, but I mean.
That's intense.
I don't know. I might have like a couple good ones that I'm like. I think there's like a few where I'm like that's like a keeper like to this day. So
that's awesome.
It never stops though. Yeah, it's like the mail.
It seems like one of those things that's like so consistent that it's almost burdensome that you can't just stop having it. Like a couple of the songwriters that I've talked to seem like not tormented by it, but like you need to fulfill it. Like it's there and deserves to be written.
It's definitely and it's definitely like. It's definitely a cross to bear, I would say, in some like not like that crazy, but it's definitely like
it seems like it doesn't leave you alone.
It's definitely some kind of an infliction.
Yeah,
but that's the same with anyone who's like passionate about like sports or like what draws you to radio or like production. It's whatever whatever gets your fire going.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's relatable and but yeah.
Cool.
But people do ask me, they're like, oh, like how can I got a lot of great musicians can like they'll do it all, but they will say like, man, how do you write a song and or what's the secret? And I would always say like I do think a lot of people have songs in them, and I think it's a great way to let the let out. So some people I would just say like don't filter yourself. Have you ever? I know a lot of people they're thinking about doing it, but it's like it definitely can be scary to share. And I would say just like share it and just like don't whatever comes out like that's it. Don't even Just go for it.
Let it roll.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you have been playing out for about, you said 15 years now.
Yeah.
So how has that evolved over the years with your various lineups and solo versus with other people arrangements?
So I when I've only played like a couple solo shows ever. So when I finally found out how to click that band together at Plattsburgh, Burlington's like right across Lake Champlain, like maybe a half-hour ferry ride and then maybe a 45-minute ride. And so Winooski's down the hill, a little place called the Monkey House. I saw the Tallest Man on Earth play there before. So he played Monkey House, which is like maybe holds 80 or 90 people. It's probably it's like maybe a third of the size of Drumroll.
Wow.
So I think Chuck told me Drumroll's like 290. So it's like literally, it's like tiny, skinny, and I loved he was so great. He climbed out of the window at the end of the set, just out of the street. And he crushed it. So he played there that year. The next year he played at Higher Ground, which is like 800 people, and then the next year he played the Waterfront, which is like 7 million people. There's like, but just being there, and I was like, I want to play this club. This place is so cool, and this band Nurses opened up from Seattle, who I can't even find now. But they were on Dead Oceans, the same record label. But I was like, how can I? It just looked like so much fun. It was the cutest, tightest little club. It was packed, best show ever. And I was like, has to be like. So that was when I got the knack for book. I was like, whatever it takes to be here, because this was so much fun. So I just emailed the guy, like, just it was Padraic Regan, and he's still at the Monkey House. Yeah, Patty. And I just like hammered it, and I was like, I have no kids in front, and just like had to get in. So that was just how the shows came from realizing it was so much fun to reach out, and like I had a good band and I was like really proud of it, and I was like this is like it's like easy to sell something that you really care about, because it's just like this is where I belong, and I was like boom, like and I found out that was where I found out I loved emails and I loved like just reaching out to people, because it's like I was like these places are fantastic. I was like, can I please come hang out at your cool club, and like with the music where that's the focus, like. So
nothing like it.
It just from there really, really took off, and like sometimes I just wake up in the middle of the night, I'm just like sending emails to like I'm just like googling like cool little fun spots, and it's just kind of like an addiction. Yeah. Do
you do your own booking?
Yeah, so I've been doing it all. Like, so I realized that was when I realized I was good at it and I like doing it. A lot of people don't, which is fine. It's definitely not for everyone.
I think it's boring. I do booking for other people. Because they don't like it. They think it's boring and it's scary, and you don't want to see the no.
That's true. A lot of people where I'm like, oh my God, I forget about who's, like I forget about the no's because I'm just focused on like the yeses, and you just like, I don't know.
Or the getting ignored. I think that might be the worst.
True. Well, but that can't. I mean, that's true. It's not for the faint of heart. Yeah. So, but. Cool. There's a lot of people that can't. It can be like a hit to the. Yeah. It could be a blow.
It does seem like it could be a blow. I would feel demoralized. Like the amount of booking emails that I send out on some people's behalfs is just not even. You send out like 200 emails and you get like 5 responses or something like that sometimes. It's like, man, I've been sitting here for hours sending these things out. These artists are awesome. These clubs are cool.
It's
like
just how it goes, though. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly, and I think you gotta get a following.
You can't take it personally either. There's 7 other million people doing the same. So sometimes people could legitimately just I emailed Gerard Fisher at Party in the Park for 8 years straight, and I finally got in. In 2014 or 2015,
wow.
8 years, yeah. And then
I
was like, "What's up, man?" He was finally, he was like, "Dude, what's up?" Finally had the So just also persistence.
Yeah, it seems to be that way, and just also getting to know people, networking around, and now I'm the operations manager at the radio station. We get about 200 email submissions of music per day.
That's incredible, and this is
And I run the email account for this place, and we get every single day people are asking us to play here, and
that's all 200. And is this maybe, I don't know, I guess for a SUNY college station, is this bigger or smaller, or does anybody know?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that other colleges.
It's a staggering amount.
Yeah, artist music submissions. Yeah.
200.
Yeah, probably about 200, between 150 and 200 a day.
So you don't even have time. No one has time to go through that all.
You can't respond to them all, and you feel terrible. So you're like, man, this kid really put themselves out there. Once in a while, you get someone who's just so wholesome, and you shoot them an email back. But
here's the lesson: I would say, always come with an angle. Yeah. And I don't know if this is true, but maybe what my plan when the record comes out would be go old school. Forget about the internet. I would say send a hard copy of the vinyl with a download tag and a T-shirt. I would imagine you'd look at that one, right? I haven't even done it yet, but I'm thinking about it.
You should do that,
right? Just hit a sticker, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. What happens is this is actually helpful for any musician. So we
come in with an angle, right?
We totally notice it when you send in a CD and a sticker.
But everyone's they don't exist anymore, we don't live in that world.
Yeah, it's we actually need to play CDs because we need to own the music to play it on a radio show. It's super practical. Yeah, a T-shirt, a hat, a sticker, a poster, any of it.
Even if they dropped a $10 Wegmans gift card or something. I don't know if that's illegal, but
that's an interesting. Nobody's even ever done that before. Put $5 cash in there.
Some coffee, some nice locally grown.
People have sent us some really interesting things. One time, somebody sent us a big. I'll tell you this and then I'll move along because it was actually very interesting. It stuck with us when we put a bunch of their songs in rotation.
People need to hear this.
Someone sent us a metal lunchbox with latches on it, like one of those ones as a kid, and inside of it was a card of Chiclets gum, a pack of playing cards. All of this was with their branding. Yeah. Stickers and a weed grinder.
Yeah.
And we were rare Americans. These guys are awesome.
Even if you don't like it, you're going to play that even if you don't like the music. You'll be this is so cool.
Yeah, these people totally hooked us up. We have everything that we could want. So anyway, I'll get off of my college radio.
Come in with an angle.
And you'll give people's attention. A sticker. Yeah, we have, the students love it. I love it.
200 is a staggering number, though, actually.
It's impossible to listen to them all.
I would have thought maybe 50 or 60 or that's...
No.
Ridiculous.
No, and the independent artists are competing with promoters, huge promoters.
Yeah, there's actually labels hitting you. There's
the Syndicate.
Yeah.
Pirate. Tons and tons. Anyway.
Do you guys have a plan to bring in any those bands through here from any, is that ever
routing bands from the college radio station?
Hey, I don't know,
it's more of a routing bands from here to the radio station.
Gotcha.
And then
gotcha.
We try to kind of support.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we respond more to what's happening in the community than trying to curate the community culture.
Gotcha.
We comment on it.
Okay.
Yeah. I would love to though. We actually have brought people down before. We used to host a music festival.
Okay.
Called Jenny Fest. I organized it one year. Yeah,
when was this?
That was in 2022. I hosted it, and then the one before that was in 2019 because it took 2 years off for the pandemic.
I must have been. I don't know how I missed that one.
It was a very small festival. It was a 5-hour long.
Was it on campus or?
Yep.
Okay, so
it was on campus. Yeah, it was right in the center of campus. It was fun though, and we brought some bands down. We got a band from Toronto. And we got an artist from Tennessee.
Who'd you get from Toronto?
Nashville. We got Forrest. FXRRVST.
Like the name.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of it. I like that name though.
Yeah, I know. Great minds think alike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we had Allison Leia, who is actually a Geneseo graduate, and she came up from Nashville.
way.
Yeah.
Oh, alum and played.
Yeah.
Boom. I know we went. Speaking of send out emails, we went to Nashville. We did like Cleveland, Cincy, and then 2 days in Nashville like this time last year. And I sent out 200 emails to book 5 shows, and we ended up like dropping the last show because it was just, I don't know, we got like tie on the road.
Yeah,
we couldn't do it
anymore. So speaking of,
but it was like 220 or something. Like legitimately, it was like.
No, it's like painful.
And up here, it's like a little easier, but like nobody cared. Like it wasn't even a no. It was just like nothing. Like,
yeah, you don't hear from anybody.
It was tough. Yeah.
It's really brutal. Yeah.
Cincinnati was sweet though.
Really?
Yeah, and Nashville was sweet too.
So have you done a lot of touring?
No.
Or just these couple of like.
That was like the first like I was like, oh my gosh, we're doing it. And then like so like this weekend we did Rochester and Ithaca, so that was
okay. Little mini tour.
Yeah, and we used to do New York City a lot, but that would just be kind of like a weekend one-off stuff like that. But no really touring, so that one barely counted. But that was like a run down to Nashville.
Okay.
So little stuff like that, little one-offs and stuff.
Road trips.
Little road trips, yeah.
That's really cool. What have some of your like favorite little road trip experiences been?
Oh my gosh, like when we used
little highlights, yeah.
Yes, when we used, I mean, that going to Nashville was such an experience because we did like stay in hotels and stuff.
Oh my gosh. The full experience.
We got super bougie with it, yeah. We had like the band fund and like, but that was like loading in, loading out, so that was definitely like feeling the grind a little bit. But we used to go to New York City, like 2016 and 2017 and 2018 we would go maybe a few times a year.
Okay.
But just road tripping up. Like I would drive up with my bass player, and my guitar player usually took the train. I would like meet us up there, and just doing that, and just meeting up in Manhattan or like I think we did a couple of gigs on the Lower East Side, and then a lot in like Brooklyn, Bushwick and stuff.
Okay,
and
cool.
that was always just like a fun night.
Yeah.
Bumping into old friends and stuff, and like I'm such a country boy. I was like, we would go for like one night, so it was always a whirlwind. But really just like being on the road and stuff. Like even going to Ithaca last weekend, just having little pizza somewhere, something is. Or sometimes just my favorite spots are just being at the gas station on like the random gas station off the highway where I'm like doing push-ups for a second or just like hanging out, and it's fun hanging with whoever's in the group at the time, and yeah, kind of like road time really. Like it's a nice. Ooh, we went to Ransom. We played in Appalachian. Is that how you say it? The Ransom Steel Tavern, like down by Binghamton. That was a cool spot. We got let us stay the night there. Really beautiful venue, Ransom Steel Tavern.
Huh.
But just kind of just going anywhere is just, it's always just exciting, you know, new scenery.
Neat. So, kind of shifting gears a little bit, you also do recording beyond your touring and live shows. You've recorded a few EPs and albums. So tell us a little about those. You have some from around 10 or 11 years ago and one from last year.
Yeah, I think a couple of records like came out hot out of the gate, but yeah, like 2011, and then the most recent stuff, a couple like A-side, B-side EPs, and like a solo record I did. And it's always, like we were talking about earlier, definitely recording it takes a lot of effort and a lot of resources, and it's something I would like to definitely do more, so it's kind of like funding it and finding a way to make it, you know, the quality that, you know, you want it to be. But yeah, there's some nice, you know, demos and stuff on, it's all at uplandrecords.bandcamp.com, and that's always a process. It's something I'm definitely trying to, like, playing live has been mostly the experience.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to get better at finding out how to record.
Yeah. Have you done any recording on your own, or have you just abandoned the home recording situation?
I never even tried, honestly. Some people are really good at it. I'm always trying to, like, get in the studio. And I've been really blessed to work with some great engineers thus far. My buddy Jesse at Blue Brick from Avon actually helped me out a long time ago. My buddy Aaron at Temple Cabin did the solo record. So I've always been kind of fortunate to just know people that have helped me release stuff.
Yeah.
But it's nice to work with someone that's really passionate. I'm not so much into that aspect of. I am into recording, but not engineering necessarily. Yeah. It's tough.
Oh man, I mean, just looking at all the controls is intimidating.
Yeah. Oh, so back in the day, when we had landlines back in the day, I would leave I would do demos on my parents' answering machine when I was a kid. So that was like my home. That was like my home recording days. It was just like 3-minute long messages, like, and like you had to like, they're like, oh my gosh, like,
gotta get a new tape.
Yeah, people have to wait so long to leave a message. It was kind of brutal.
So, before we start getting to the closing moments of our interview, I'm interested in how you balance your music life and your artistic life with your personal life and family life and work life.
Yeah, it's definitely, I love that question too, because I'm always curious about like artists that I look up to or follow. I know everyone's like, I always heard like dude from like Isaac Brock from Modest Mouse was like, had like 7 records and was like just so bankrupt and like just like not doing great, and like my age, like mid-30s, I think, when like I heard like he did like Gravity Rides Everything was like using a Nissan commercial or something, and that was like what made him like solvent. Maybe he just broke even, because then that record came. So it's just like a long, but I'm like, who knows, like with family and everything. So it's always, some people make it really look really good, but I'm always like most curious about that over anything else. And for me, it's definitely, I have a day job at work, and I have kids and stuff. Yeah. So it's definitely, sometimes, a lot of people that got out of it because it wasn't really realistic, and for me, I really dialed it back, and I only play, I only play a couple shows a month or something, or sometimes it's, just closer, you just kind of pick and choose. But it's definitely, I would say for everyone, it's like totally, a lot of people end up not, I know a lot of people that stop playing because they're just like, it's a lot of, and we don't practice a lot or like rehearse. It's definitely not like, it's like when it's time to do stuff, we'll kind of like have this block of time to get ready. Yeah. And then like taking breaks from it too, like I think, and I'm just not very active like that, so it's just kind of like, but I don't know, the people who do it full time, like really hitting it, I don't even know, like I don't even know, honestly, like that's.
I talked to a woman earlier. This is the third interview I've done today.
Oh, for real?
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
And I talked to this girl, Danny Nichols, and she is here on a visa, the exceptional talent, alien with exceptional talent. So she can't do anything in America but play music. It's the job. If she wants to live in America, she has to be displaying. The only way she can make money is by displaying her exceptional talent.
It's incredible.
And she has no choice but to be a musician.
Damn.
And I could not believe it. I was like, wow.
It's a thing, yeah.
Yeah, like that would feel, I would be so scared by that prospect. But it's working for her. It's really cool. It's a really cool opportunity. But that's great. So before we close out this afternoon's episode, is there anything that you would like to share or promote? Or we can't have commercial calls to action on the radio. Yeah. But if there's anything that you would like to share, any wisdom you would like to put out there for folks? I
would say, I was just at a lecture series at RIT, and this lady, Janet Beckman, a photographer, was in, and she is pretty well known. She did a lot of famous album covers and stuff, and they're very well known, very prolific, very successful. And someone asked her a question. They said something about, should you always be thinking about money, or does it make sense to do things, just to do things? Because she was talking a lot about, like, she seemed like she was doing very well, but she also mentioned a couple projects that she did out of interest and out of curiosity, and like literally following the passion. So like going back to what we were talking about earlier, like that was my big takeaway from seeing her, and it was such a relief because I didn't think anyone at that level would say that, because it's always like value, and you should always value yourself and like take things seriously, and it's not good to undercut like the market if you're doing stuff for free. But she was like, if you're doing, hearing it from her was very validating. She was like, follow your heart and like do what makes you happy, and sometimes it's worth doing something for the love of it, and like maybe, and then like the other stuff will come back around later. And that like that for me was such a big takeaway, because I did not think she was going to say that. It was very punk rock of her, and I was like, boom, yeah. It was so I got to repeat that. Like Janet Beckman was definitely nailed it. Like just do what you love, and it's very much worth it, and it has been for me. So that's it, really.
Cool. I love that. I love that advice. That's one of my favorite parts of this show, is that everybody who comes on this show is doing exactly that, and it's just so inspirational to see. And I'm able to do that too.
And it's it's definitely hard and scary whether you have a family or don't, whether you have a different, whether you do a full-timer. I know it is scary for everybody. And even the people that I meet, I look up to, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're just like living my dream. And they're like, hey, it's like, it gets better, but it gets harder in different ways. So it's really, I'm always a big fan of like meeting you and hearing more about what you do. I'm just a big fan of anyone who's like in the trenches just doing it. So, and there's so many different facets of it. So. Yeah.
And it's scary to think that your passion might not work.
Yeah. And we're all scared together though. Yeah. So like, and you know what? It might not, it will, I would say this, it will, if you try, it will work. It might not look how you thought it was going to look, but it actually, if you never stop, it definitely will work. I really do believe that. It might not be what you dreamed of when you were younger, but something will happen. Yeah.
I think you're right. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the community that you find yourself in. I think it's really hard to do it alone.
Yeah.
And that if you're able to find a community of people, they don't even need to be your band, just a group who supports you and has faith in you, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. Peers, friends, anything.
Cool. Well, is there anything you wish I asked?
No, I think you nailed it. I'm just really happy to be here.
Cool.
Thanks for having me out. It's nice that Drumroll hosts this and that you take the initiative to do this, and please keep doing it. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you so much, Garth. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
This has been Garth Clark on Conversations from Drumroll. Check him out on Bandcamp.
On Bandcamp, yeah.